Good morning, Jawad.
Hey, good morning, Tawfiq. How are you?
All right, how are you, sir?
Doing great. So now we have a new note taker. That is
Oh,
Hisham's AI note taker from Otter.ai.
oh, that's AI. What's that? That's a real note taker, right? It's not an AI thing, is it?
I have a feeling it's an AI thing.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah, Microsoft has that stuff,
Mhm.
you know. It's actually pretty good. I
The
was surprised
buzzwords,
how good it is.
the buzzwords of the century AI.
Yeah.
I should just add that to my name. No space AI.
That could help, yeah.
Yeah, it might.
Yeah. Every, decade, there's a buzzword, and now it's AI. Yeah, but that note is pretty good. I was surprised. I used it for a while, yeah. The only thing it got wrong was my name, but everything else was correct.
I'm sure I'll get my name wrong too, so.
Yep. Hey, Anu, by the way, I got this panel accepted.
Excellent.
Yeah, but I don't know which session, who, and I don't know any of that stuff. But
Yeah, you'll know more. It's probably not exactly in the chiplet session, but as long as it's accepted, we're good. Things can move around once it's
yeah,
accepted.
yeah.
Yeah. Wait another minute to get started. Javad, is Mike supposed to present first, right? I had him on my as the first person.
That's what I thought.
Okay. I don't see him on the call yet.
Well, there he is.
Oh, perfect. Good timing, Mike. Okay, it's 8:03, so let's get started. I had 3 items on our agenda today is Mike Bartley. Mike Bartley is the writing of a white paper. They're listing what our OCP's contribution has been to the test portion of chiplets. And before he presents to the server committee next month, we wanted to share what he had and get feedback so we can polish it into what we all think makes sense. And then we've got Steve Helvey, who, thank you, Steve, for coming in today. He's gonna show a little bit about the chiplet marketplace. It's something that's very exciting for the OCP, and Steve's done a terrific job of personally reaching out to companies and trying to get OKs and agreements to get their material online. And then if we have time, we'll talk a little bit more about the Global Summit. I think by now, a lot of the acceptances have gone out. We had, as we said, a lot more than we thought that we could fit in. So there was a lot of combinations. And even though some had been rejected, we were trying to get people to combine talks, even post that fact to make sure everybody gets a chance to express their thoughts on that stage. So,
Hey, Anu,
yeah.
if you get more time, like you need to you fill it up like my panel. They always start with half hour, and then by the end of the conference, they give me an hour, and we need an hour, and it's not always sure.
Yeah.
So if you have an hour, and I could definitely,
Yeah.
use it. I don't know how much they're gonna give me this time, but they always say, no, you have half an hour.
Yep.
And 2 weeks before the end, they say, oh, by the way, we can give you an hour. So it's
Oh, I
always,
see. Okay. So
yeah,
right now we have a couple of panels and they're all like 30 minutes each, which I don't like. I prefer panels to be at least 40, 45 minutes. But we're trying to accommodate so many people, but we'll see how it shapes up towards the end,
yeah,
Tawfiq. But
just on the table, if
yeah,
if it works, yeah. Thanks.
okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Mike. Mike, you ready and good to present?
Yeah, I'm ready. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
So I have one comment. So after this presentation, we basically will seek an approval for the contribution, right? So that's the big idea, to present it to the group. And then if there's any objections, please bring those up. Or if there are any feedback, please provide that to Mike.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So as I said, it's a chiplet or die-to-die chiplet interface testing. So the focus is on how to, and this is manufacturing test as well. So this is how to a strategy for trying to ensure that the interfacing of chiplets on the final package is working, but also how you build it up from individual chiplets, their DFT strategies, their individual known good die strategies into an assembly, and then into a final a final product test. Okay. There's a lot of contributions. It's quite a long paper as well. It's 46 pages. And I know I've got a hard stop in 23 minutes from now at past. So I'm not sure we'll get it through it all. And it might be that I just give you an overview and then people go away with their comments. We've got a lot of time before we present to the server project that's scheduled for a month's time, I think. So we have lots of time if people want to go away and read it and provide their feedback. We've already had several reviews, but obviously we're keen to get your view as well. Okay. So there's still the sort of boilerplate bits which we haven't done yet. We'll come back to, but the bulk of the paper's written here. You need to read. So maybe what I'll do is that rather than just sort of go through the first 10 pages in detail, I'll walk you through the whole document, so you get a good overview, and then we can deep dive on any particular sections, or you can review offline and send me a comment. There's an introduction. This is basically a summary of the paper. I won't go through that. The problem statement tries to set out what problem we're trying to fix with this paper. I guess fix may be too strong a word. We're trying to provide guidance on how chiplet vendors can try to fix this. Both the people making the chips and the people trying to assemble those chips into what we've called in this paper SIP, so systems in package, rather than SOC, which we regard as system on chip. We're talking about system in a package here. Okay, and we go all the way from wafer test through chip testing to board testing. Okay, so it's the whole journey from the individual wafer tests for the various chiplets that are going to be on the SIP, all the way to the final board level testing of that full SIP. Okay, and the main challenges which we address on the standards. There's lots of different standards. So how do individual companies choose which standard to use? A chiplet company will be trying.
So I had a quick question. In this white paper, are we outlining what standards exist today?
Yes.
How people use them, and then are we providing innovative ideas for the future, or are we just outlining what exists today?
It's mainly what exists today. There's also discusses how people can deploy them effectively for chiplets as well. There's a whole section on that. Maybe we can go through that in a bit more detail. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just trying to understand that, the scope of the work really is to outline the problem, the statement, which you just showed us, and then to describe what between the IEEE standards and industry, how they're converging on possibly the right solutions for testing of chiplets in order to produce known good die. Would that summarize? Okay.
Yeah, we've tried to do that, but again, I think there's a we can take feedback if you think there's other more detailed information that you want there. So, but there is a section on that. Yeah.
Is there a section on like ideas
Sorry?
for self-test, Mike? Any chance? Just asking.
There is self-test in there. I don't know whether it goes beyond BIST or memory self-test as well. I'd have to check. But yeah, that's part of the standard chip flows what would become the chiplet flow as far as the paper is concerned. It might be interesting in how you could then trigger them once they're actually on the SIP, because obviously you want some way then to make sure that they run and provide a status report to the final assembly as well. So again, I mean these are all good feedback as well. So BIST is mentioned, but how much detail we go into, I don't know. I'd have to check in the paper again, that particular section. But okay. But yeah, that's good feedback. I've written it down, so we can try and check that off. Interoperability. It's about the interoperability of the DFT strategies as well. I think the key thrust there is that you don't know once it's finally assembled how you're going to be able to access the chiplets, whether you get individual access or you have to access a chiplet via another chiplet, is one of the key things there. And then how you need to, because you still need to do some testing of each individual chiplet once it's assembled. You can't just assume that a known good die is still going to work after assembly into the final SIP. So that's about how we can still test those individual chiplets post-assembly. Hierarchical testing as well, about the various layers of hierarchy within the chiplet and the SIP architecture. Inter-chip. So yeah, this is getting into. So we've gone from DFT standard challenges onto architectural challenges, and then functional test as well. So the actual function still of those individual chiplets once they're integrated together. The overall coherency and synchronization, I certainly worked on chiplets that have coherent structures across chiplets, rather than just coherency within a single chiplet. So how do you test all that? These are functional tests. And then how might you isolate individual faults on each individual chip? So that's getting into the sort of debug strategies, really, because it's, if you do find faults in that final assembly, how are you going to debug it? Okay, so they're the challenges which we're trying to address. We start with an overview of what we see as the current state of the industry. Obviously, this is moving quite fast, but what we've tried to do is capture what is currently done. Okay, and then there's various pictures there, but it talks about those, on these various inter, and final package. Okay, just split it up into those sort of 3 different areas. It talks about the various standards there, and then how a chiplet test infrastructure might incorporate those standards into its strategy. Scan traffic, how you can get scan traffic across PCIe USB. This is becoming more popular now through strategies like SSN, maybe, or you could just move data around using that. Tesla is doing a lot of work on how to get scan data on and off quickly via those protocols. Okay. Or you could try, you could just use direct IOs to try to. I just seen that. That needs to be fixed. I'll just quickly highlight that so I remember to fix it. And then, so again, I won't go into too much detail. So that's how that might work to try and get.
So Mike, this the figure X that you have there, are folks actually doing that? I don't know enough about the test world. They actually have an active interposer with.
I certainly think people, my experience is that people are using active interposers. I'd have to check who wrote this. There's about 8 contributors, so I'd have to go back and check on the person who wrote this section, whether they've actually done that themselves.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, the person who wrote this. Yeah, no, makes sense. I haven't seen that, so it's interesting.
Okay. So it shouldn't be called figure X either. So there's 2 issues here. But I'll go away and fix the figure X, and I'll ask the person who wrote. There's about 2 or 3 people who wrote this section. So I probably haven't got all the details in my head. That's the issue. Because again, there's about 8 contributors from various companies, but I can find the people who did it. Okay. And then it moves on to how to go from 2.5 to 3D. Okay, and it starts to look at those. Whether that should be 3D or 5D. I'm not quite sure. And then talks about the known good die. And system level test as well. So there's certainly things that I know my company is using a lot. known good design strategies and system level test strategies as well, which I think are now starting to get a bit more traction in the market as well. Certain things like 1149.10 and those becoming more popular. Okay. And then yeah, the interposer testing as well. How yes, I think we can actually do that via probing prior to the chiplets being assembled onto that interposer. So if you're using that active interposer, then there's a interposer testing step as well that gets introduced. And again, then it moves through the same types of test strategies for 3D. So we talked about 2.5D before. Now we're moving into 3D, where obviously then we have to introduce something on TSV as well to make sure that we can test the stacks, the stacked, typically memories, but the stacked chiplets. Okay, and then how you would probe those as well. So again, I'm skipping fast because I'm just aware of the time. We've got 9 minutes left and still got quite a few pages. Okay. So that's what that section is about. It's talking about what we see as the current test strategies, and then moves into DFT, which is going to play a crucial role as well, because so on those DFT strategies, here it gets into what's the difference when you start to move to an from an SOC to an SIP, what you have to change in your strategy as you do that, and goes through that, and it starts to talk about the changes that you might need in the DFT strategy there, in order to enable that. Okay. Accelerating test as well. You still want to obviously test as fast as possible. You're still going to have to, still quite an expensive investment, a test machine. So we want our tests to go as fast as possible to utilize that as much as possible. So a little bit on BIST there, and self-test. I'm not quite sure whether that would satisfy how much you think needs to be in there. Scan compression as well. I talked about SSM before across PCIe, for example, or more obviously UCIe on chiplets, and how scan compression can again allow us to try and increase speed test.
Mike, a couple of comments. So
Yeah.
This looks great, and I know you guys have been having a lot of meetings to compile this white paper for quite some time. So one question, do you plan any further activity after this white paper?
So, well, we're planning to present it at the Global Summit in October. I guess I'm open to ideas and whether we should, I don't know, are you thinking maybe a sub-project on test? What are you suggesting? How we take it? Because at the moment, we don't really have a sub-project. We've just gone away as a team and written a white paper.
Yes, I think you mean a work stream. So I think what you are saying is that you guys are thinking of forming a work stream, which will be a derivative of the work coming out of this white paper, right?
Again, we're open to ideas. I'm probably less familiar with the way the ODSA works, but if you think that would be the best way of moving it forward, then yes, we'll be open to the idea of a work stream. Yeah.
Okay, and you think you can double click on some of these topics that you guys have identified here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah. So and so that would be a way to do it. So I'm more than happy to try and I probably need your advice on how we would set up that work stream. But yeah, it sounds like a good idea, definitely.
Oh, okay. Another question. How many fellow travelers do you have on this activity at the moment?
As I said, there's about 7 or 8 of us working on the white paper.
Okay, that's pretty sizable. So, and you guys, I noticed you guys meet every week, right? Pretty much.
No. We've been meeting. We were meeting. Yeah, probably about once or twice a month. But, whilst we were in the midst of writing the paper, and we were meeting more regularly. But obviously now we don't meet that regularly because we've got the white paper and we're just waiting for feedback.
Okay.
And once we know that it's accepted, and ODSA say, yeah, can you set up a work stream? Then again, we can restart the activity. And I'm sure people will be pretty keen to continue it. The team are all, I mean, the team are quite diverse, from people building SIP to people trying to sell chiplets to EDA companies trying to sell tools, and the service company trying to sell services. So it's they're coming into the. I'm quite unfortunately, I'm not be able to listen to Steve, who's coming in next. But that marketplace is, probably lots of representatives from that potential chiplet marketplace working on this.
So one quick comment on the approval process. I think pretty much the only major thing we have to do is take this presentation through the server group steering committee.
Yes.
They are the ones who are going to approve it, and we will get 5 minutes to present it.
Wow.
So we'll have to create some slide deck that we can just quickly go through and capture the essence of it. And I think here what we can do is you should advertise the link to this white paper so whoever is interested can read and provide you feedback on it, because I don't think we're going to cover all the 46 pages here in this meeting.
Well, we've got 2 minutes left because as I say, I've got the hard stop at 1:30. So
okay. So please take your 2 minutes and just try to. Most important thing is tell people where to find this white paper.
Yeah. So I'll send the link after the call. So I'll make sure everybody's got the link. Then it's on so people can then make comments or suggest changes, and then I can go through that and the authors can approve or not. If people wanted to have a call on that would be good. And then as I say, I'll prepare, sounds like a slide deck for 5 minutes for the server group. And in that, I'll include the fact that we're going to present it at the Global Summit, and we're going to try to get a separate work stream on it as well, just to keep it going, and then possibly have a chiplet test work stream. Okay, so that sounds like a plan. I'm just aware there's a minute left. If there's anything else I need to do, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll drop off for my next meeting and allow Steve to go. Yeah, sorry, Steve, I can't listen to your presentation. I know we've been communicating over email.
Yeah, that's okay. I do in this public setting. I want to thank Mike and the team for helping reduce some of the legal stuff behind the program. So he's been very, very helpful in providing feedback, and look forward to his help in the marketplace as well.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Okay, I do apologize. I do need to drop off, but yeah, thank you for the time here, and I'll follow up. I'll follow up via email, so people will get the chance. I already got some comments about on BIST, on standards innovative ideas, and that figure X, which first of all needs to be renumbered, but asking who wrote that and are they actually using that strategy? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Anu, do you want me to go ahead and get started?
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right. Thank you, everyone, for a few minutes today. I will start by sharing just a couple pieces of the background. This has been a 6-month effort to understand the requirements and to do some back-end work, all under the business flow work stream. So my great appreciation from Merrick, Anu, Cash, everyone involved in that business flow workflow work stream has been extremely helpful in guiding me and the foundation in helping move toward where we are now. So the goal for this OCP open chiplet economy marketplace is really 2 areas. We want to showcase all the work that you're doing in the projects, and we want to drive demand and business development opportunities for you. I won't list all the requirements, but there were 3 or 4 that jumped out at me throughout the conversations about what we need to do to make this successful. We need to make it simple to find information on our site. It can be a bit academic when you look at our site and all the different links and all the different locations to find things. We want to lower the barrier to participate legally and financially. We want to be inclusive. That may mean things that are not necessarily 100% OCP at this current stage within the chiplet economy. And we want to account for those products that are not ready for market yet, but are in the pipeline to help create that awareness and create the demand to bring those products to market. So those are the things we tried to do while we are moving toward the stage where we are now. I'm going to show you the staging site. Keep in mind it's staging, so some of the links and some of the numbers may not match, etc., but you get the idea. Our launch is scheduled for next Thursday. There will be a blog post. We'll push this out on newsletters. We'll start the continuous programmatic promotion of this. We'll build on it. I reached out to over 20 chiplet members within this ODSA group. 6 or so have gotten back to me with listings, and I expect a couple more prior to Thursday. But then once it gets out into the market, I expect this to ramp pretty quickly between now and Summit. And we do have a short talk at Summit to cover this program, as well as some of the early analytics that we get from the marketplace. So I will share now the staging site. As you can see, this is staging. So there's a couple things that we did here. We added the word chiplets to the right-hand side under products and chiplets. Ultimately, I want a separate tile just for chiplets, but due to the structure of the website and cost, we're moving in this direction first. So as I click into the chiplet area, you will see a header for the top area, which is products, which is not relevant for this conversation, but this entire area called the open chiplet economy with this diagram that you can blow up in these particular categories. So we'll have, these are the main categories on the outer ring: design services, foundry, test, EDAs, IP. Some of that may change prior to launch. We may change based on some feedback we received from a couple members on how that diagram looks, but these are the general high-level categories. And if I move down on the left-hand side, you will start to see the filters. So this entire open chiplet economy on my left, we were able to give us a couple different blocks here, a couple levels of blocks, chiplet and IP, and you can see the various vendors, design, EDAs, manufacturing and test. And then if I expand this a bit more, this is where we're going to try to encompass all of the information that you're working on in the project. So you can see past workshops, specifications, white papers, even partnership opportunities. I want to highlight that this is not a duplicate entry of what's on our site. It's one entry. I'm pointing, say, to the past events page, or I'm pointing to that particular specification over on the contributions database. It's just a way for people to find it in one particular spot, and it will open up in a new tab as opposed to bouncing between, say, the wiki and project page, past events, and the marketplace. So if I click into past workshops, I can then click here and see perhaps a day 2 of the workshop with JEDEC. And if I move back, I'll click here on a spec, and this is the BO Rev 1 spec, and then this jumps over to the contributions page. For those members that have provided me a listing, I'll show you a couple of those. So we'll have different categories for the different chiplets. So if they're an FPGA chiplet or Ethernet or any of the different kinds of chiplets in the marketplace, we can add additional categories. And for these members, they provided me, say, a picture, a logo, a short description, and a way to reach out directly to them. So what we track is when things move from our site to your site. So the goal is to have a decent landing page. So this right-hand website link, it's important for that to make a nice transition over to your site, perhaps using the OCP logo, etc. That is what we track. We'll track if somebody emails or clicks through to the website, and we'll provide those analytics on a quarterly basis, both from the overall chiplet section, the overall marketplace, and then your specific products relative to your listings. The requirements to be on this marketplace are quite simple. You have to be an OCP member. What is different about this compared to other listings is that this marketplace may or may not come with a fee based on your level within OCP. If you are a higher level member, gold or platinum or silver, the marketplace is free. If you are a basic community level member, there is a fee associated with that. We are waiving that fee for any chiplet specific vendor for 1 year. So from July to July, we will waive that fee as we get up and running on that. So we're lowering that barrier. As I'd mentioned earlier, Mike helped provide some feedback on the SP agreement itself to simplify that so it is not as laborious for your legal team to quickly review this marketplace agreement, providing us the ability to use your products and logos on our marketplace. If you have any questions, please reach out to me if you want to be part of this. We'll have a blog, as I mentioned, that goes out on Thursday, and we will start promoting it. We know that there are other sites out there, and we know that there's a lot of sites on this, or a lot of listings on this site. We have over 270 listings on the OCP marketplace. So we try to carve out as much area for the open chiplet economy as possible. Ultimately, again, as I mentioned, we want our own tile, but that comes with significant cost. And there are limitations to this website platform. So as much as I would like to do a lot of different things, I'm working within the constraints of the site itself. Feedback is welcome, and I'm happy to either implement it or tell you that it's not possible at this time for whatever reason. But that's a snapshot of what's coming on Thursday. We'll have it all built out over on the production side, ready to launch, say, a day or so before. Any questions?
This is really I think the direction that the business team's gone in is really amazing, that we should have something like this on our website. With the entire ecosystem, right? It's not just the chiplet catalog, but everything that goes with it. It enables so many different players to advertise their services or what they can bring to the table for partnerships and collaborations too. So that's a lot of hard work, Steve. Thank you so much.
No, thank
Steve,
you.
I have a quick, by the way, yeah, I certainly agree with that. is there like an anchor link or something which will take some, if let's say we put this on, you know, our website, or we put it on LinkedIn, for example, or whatever, just saying, hey, this exists, that would take us, or what link would we want to promote, right? Is it that would take us right here, right, which shows everything?
Yeah,
Is there a way to do that?
This would probably be the main link that would take you, is this product section, or you can go to the general marketplace.
Yeah, I was thinking of avoiding the general marketplace, right? So just something that's dedicated to the open chiplet economy in some way. Okay, I'll play with it once it's open, and then try and promote it as well, right? So that
Sure,
hopefully
please.
everybody can put it on their websites and LinkedIn's and saying, hey, this is the first time it's available. So I think it would be good for everybody to do that.
And this is a first step, so we want to get it out and moving, and then we'll grow it accordingly. And our goal is to really build this out. So all feedback is welcome.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Tash, for all the help.
That's a great start, Steve.
All right, that's it for me, Anu.
Thanks, Steve. What was the last topic I had? I don't remember now. Yeah, we were going to talk about the global summit and the innovation village too, right, Javad?
That's right.
Okay. Do we want to relay Cliff's message from earlier this morning about OCP participation in some of those notice of information from the NAPMP?
Yeah, if you recall, because I've already forgotten what was this message. So, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think Javad had last week, we had talked a little bit about the notice of information that had come from the NAPMP. And the question was, how does OCP as a group participate in it? I think the OCP's take on that is, you know, we don't write individual proposals. We partner or we collaborate with some other individual or a group of individuals coming together who write a proposal, where we can work as an OCP team. We can work with those group of individuals in a collaborative form, such that the work that's done is open source through the OCP, and basically we can share some resources in that process. So the OCP itself. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, now I remember. So yes, this was a question last week, and the question was, can OCP do something, right? And you and I asked Cliff, and his point is no different than before, that the foundation is not set up to directly receive funding, or even lead anything. But what they will do is, for any group of companies that are willing to use the OCP's platform to open source some part of the work, they will write support letters to the government. Anu, did I describe it correctly?
Yeah. So what I think the OCP can do is write a letter of support for and OCP prefers to support a group of collaborators as opposed to an individual putting in a proposal. But really what we would do is a letter of support, and that support can mean any number of different things in terms of resources or members of this new proposal joining some of our work streams and working together. But I think that's where the stand is, that we ourselves don't put a proposal in individually.
Yeah,
It's
remember Cliff was saying he will come back next week. He couldn't join today. So bring your questions and ideas on how we can ask what do we need from OCP to help with the proposals or right? So he will be here himself next week.
Yeah. I think Javad and I are like, that's about all we know and we can say, or how we understand it. And anything beyond that, Cliff will be at the meeting next week and he can elaborate if there are more questions. But in general, the OCP is sort of a support arm for people who want to put a proposal together for, I think, any of these NOIs that come from, so many different government organizations.
Yeah, I mean, I have some ideas, which is like, OCP can invite Department of Commerce here in this meeting to come and explain what government is trying to do, right? So that would be a useful thing for everybody here, right? The other things could be that, we can tell the government that, some of these companies are willing to work with the OCP open ecosystem, and OCP will provide support, and I think government probably will give that some weight. So some work needs to happen behind the scene on those. But money will flow directly to companies or group of companies.
Right. Okay, so any other questions for that? Feel free to save them for Cliff next Friday's meeting. The Global Summit, I think we talked about it last week. It's October 17th, we have an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. slot. And I think I've said this several times. It was amazing to get the number of talks and abstracts and entries for the chiplet section. There's so much work going on in different work streams, as well as companies having chiplets, or companies having die-to-die interface type talks. So we did have to unfortunately try to consolidate and combine talks into a more manageable format, even though we originally we thought we would only get 3 hours, but we actually got an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. With a couple of breaks in between for lunch and coffee. Even that was a struggle. So I hope we did justice to everyone who's put in their share of work into making this possible. I'm guessing the accepts and rejects have gone out. I'm still working with a few folks to try to combine talks, even though certain talks were rejected, try to see if we can get it together, because we want to make sure we give chance to almost all the folks who are interested in sharing their views and opinions. So Javad, I don't know if we should share the talks and the format today, because I don't think it's 100% finalized from our end, right? We could still move things around based on time, and some places we have too many speakers, and there's a whole slight amount of messiness going on.
I think if you need some feedback, there is no harm.
Okay.
Just because it's going to keep on changing until last day. So
you're okay with me sharing the spreadsheet?
yeah, please.
Okay, hold on. Let me figure out how to share the damn thing now. Share something. Share. Okay, can you guys see what I'm sharing?
We can see it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Marek. Oh, Marek's already seen this several times over, so he's aware of it. So the one thing I wanted to talk about is, if you look at the list of companies here on the right side, it's a really large representation of the ecosystem, starting with the applied materials, who are doing a whole lot of research now into advanced packaging, to chiplet providers like Alpha Wave, Die to Die guys. You know, for the first time, we've got a gentleman from Rambus who's going to be on a panel. We've got all the contributors to the PHY and, you know, how we're going to move forward with Bo 2.1 and the how we're going to go beyond just the HPC markets and looking at more traditional markets and including automotive, which maybe not that traditional, but it's a new growth area for us. ARM has been very kind to submit multiple proposals, but again, we had to trim it down, given, as you can tell, how tight each of these are. Our panels, I had this one at 40 minutes, but I've already been told that we could have another speaker come in which case we'd have to shave from this and shave from the other talks. And so it's a work in progress. We want to do as good a job of representing what we as an organization work on, as well as how companies collaborate with us. The Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, which is now very much part of our OCP, they have their own Workstream now, which is the modularity. So we'll do an introduction on that one. And trying to disperse panels between talks so that people don't get too bored. I think a really interesting one I thought was really very cool is the IMEC guys talking about automotive chiplets. We had 1 or 2 conversations with them, and they were kind enough to move their schedules around because they do come from Europe, and be able to actually participate in this. So I think that's going to be very exciting. So still trying to consolidate. I know it's a lot to take in at a glance here, but if you guys have any suggestions of how to move things around and make things more interesting or appropriate for the audiences, I would appreciate feedback.
Hey, Anu, like you said, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Just trying to yeah, there were so many submissions, and it was really very cool. And I think it was nice to see the OCP get back to us. I think within a few days of the deadline, saying we'll give you a whole day, because I'm guessing they figured there's no way in hell we could shove all of that into 3 hours and do any kind of justice to all of these collaborators, many of whom, you know, are here in the meeting today and are very actively participating with us. So I do appreciate that they considered it. It's been interesting for me, my first time doing this and on such a large scale. So it's been lots of lessons learned and on how to work and you know, ask people nicely to collaborate together and consolidate and combine panels, and so it's been fun. And I really have to thank Marek especially. Marek has been there every time I've had a question or a doubt. Marek's jumped in with his feedback, and I really do appreciate it, Marek. Javad and Marek and me have sort of plugged through this, and we've come to some semblance of dignity, I think, at this point. But any feedback you guys have, I would appreciate. Once it's a little more solid in terms of we figured out how many speakers there are and what we want to move things around, and if we get this other speaker, I'd have to make some changes in this middle section here. I will share this so you guys can look at it a little more than my you know, 5 minutes of sharing a very messy looking spreadsheet. So
Hey, Anu, this is Steve. I do want to emphasize how great it is that you have a full day. There are several projects that wanted a full day and only got a half day. So it's been extremely challenging to accommodate as many people as possible. So this is great that you have that. So utilize it and make it worth everyone's time.
Yeah, I think utilize it wisely is where I'm hoping we do, and that's where feedback is good to keep the most amount of audience and to actually have people get something out of it, so that there's increased participation and renewal in the next year. So thank you, Steve. I am looking for some support here to see how we can do things better. As you said, not easy to get a whole day. We are thrilled to get a whole day. We just want to use it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The icing on the cake is that there will be this section of talks, whole day talks, and then we have a whole area in Innovation Village where there'll be opportunity for demonstration.
That's right.
So if your company wants to do a demonstration of any type and talk to potential customers, that will be a great opportunity. So do reach out to us if you are interested.
Very good. Hey, does anybody know what this dating and marrying paper is about?
Yeah, so that's I think Arvind Kumar actually presented that at was it the CDX talk, Jawad? I think so. So
That's right.
yeah, so CDX, the first day of the CDX topic, Arvind Kumar presented this. It was a very interesting way of talking about it, and I just thought it would bring some audience in, given how different it sounded from the rest of the talks.
Yeah. It is on chiplets, not on dating and marrying, right?
It is ultimately on chiplets and AI. So all the buzzwords of the century have been used.
So Tawfiq, with our chiplet marketplace, we are trying to make match.com for chiplets.
Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Cool. But I second, I know this is great work. This is, you put in a lot of thought into this. This is great.
Thank you. Okay, that is all I have for today. 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Anyone else have any thoughts, anything to say? Okay, so I think we can call it done for the day. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. I think Mike's already left. Thank you, Steve. And we will talk again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.